Guys, I know, I can't believe it too, but we're back with another book review. But this one's going to be a little bit different, so I'll explain in just a little bit. And with that, the book we're reviewing today is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And I hope I pronounce his name correctly. Now, before we get into it, this book here I got from a really good friend of mine, so this is just a quick shout out. I know you're going to be watching the video, so you know who you are. Thank you, and you know how much I appreciate you. As some of you might be aware, in the previous videos, I gave you a summary of the book, some of my feelings and impressions about each book, who I think should read the book, and some of my favorite quotes. But this one, as it's more of a novel, I've decided to change the structure just a little bit. So today, we're going to give you guys a summary and purpose of the book. We'll talk about some of the themes and emotions portrayed in the book. As always, my favorite quotes. And to finish it off, we'll talk about 4 lessons that I learnt from the book. Now, here's a quick summary of the book. So, the book tells a story and journey of an Andalusian shepherd boy named Santiago, who's in search of a hidden treasure and living out his personal legend. This hidden treasure is said to make him very rich, but what he finds is that the journey leads him to riches far beyond his imagination and ultimately more fulfilling and satisfying. So overall, Santiago's story teaches us many lessons about life and pursuing our dreams. So what's the overall purpose of the book? So from my perspective, the main purpose, the main takeaway from this book is one that we should all be familiar with, and it's this. To follow your dreams, listen to your heart, instincts, emotions, your inner self, God, however you want to describe it. It's about the journey, having faith, overcoming obstacles and fears, having courage and understanding that there's an underlying purpose or reason in everything that you do or experience, even if they don't make sense in the moment. Some of the themes and emotions portrayed in the book. So in this section, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm just going to give you guys a list of some of the themes and emotions that have been shown throughout this book. So here we go. One of the first things that came to mind was the idea of being more courageous, overcoming fears and obstacles. In the book, it also explores ideas of having faith. There's the ideas around purpose and dreams, also having grit and determination. And lastly, there's the ideas around unity and the connectedness of all things. Some of my favorite quotes from the book. Everyone seems to have a clear idea of how others should lead their lives, but none about his or her own. If you pay attention to the present, you can improve upon it. And if you improve on the present, what comes later will also be better. Courage is a quality most essential to understanding the language of the world. Remember that wherever your heart is, there you will find your treasure. You've got to find the treasure so that everything you've learnt along the way can make sense. God created the world so that through its visible objects, men could understand his spiritual teachings and the marvels of his wisdom. Everything that happens once can never happen again, but everything that happens twice will happen a third time. In order to find the treasure, you will have to follow the omens. God has prepared a path for everyone to follow. You just have to read the omens that he left for you. 4 lessons from the book. Now, some of these points I've had a little bit of help with, so I'm going to do my best to explain it in the best way I can. The first major lesson is to follow your dreams and life purpose. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but in the book it's described as one's personal legend. But from my understanding of the book, it's not simply about just following your dreams and life purpose, because having that fulcrum that sort of pulls you into the future is very much essential. But the most critical part about it is the journey and the steps that you take in order to get there. So the biggest lesson here is, yes, have that big dream, but don't forget about those little steps that help you to get there. Because sometimes you don't always achieve what you're after, but when you look back on the steps and the process that it took for you to get to that particular point, you'll understand that you already achieved quite a bit. The other big lesson is to learn to overcome your fears. Now, you've probably heard this a bunch of times, but what if on the other side is your personal legend, or your purpose, or your dreams? So if overcoming your fears is quite overwhelming, maybe you should look at it closely and take smaller steps. Break it down in a way that's achievable and will help you get closer to your dreams. There's been a lot of times throughout the book where Santiago has been hesitant, somewhat fearful, but in the end, it's going through some of those fears and actually challenging them. That's what's allowed him to get closer and actually achieve his personal legend. The third lesson in this book is that everything in this world is connected. The sun, the earth, nature, and us, we're all connected somehow, and some of us don't fully understand it. Even Santiago realizes at one point in the book. And from my perspective, this is more about how the universe provides us so much information, but yet we overlook a lot of little things, and there's so much around us that we don't fully understand. Sometimes we just need to open ourselves up just a little bit, just to see some of those signs. The last lesson here is around the idea of letting go, and that sometimes you have to let go of attachments. Now, this is definitely one of the better ones here, and I definitely had to get a little bit of help to get this idea and perspective. The first part of this lesson is you might think about the ideas around settling. And Santiago uses sheep as examples. Sometimes in life, people prefer comfort, pleasure, and as a result, settle down. And sometimes you can see this with our lifestyles, our beliefs. Once settled, it's hard to change, it's hard to grow, it's hard to evolve. You'll basically do everything to hold on to these attachments, these beliefs, familiar surroundings and lifestyle. But if it's not leading you towards your dreams and purpose, it leaves you thinking what if and what kind of life you could have had if you continue to follow your personal legend. So for those of you who have read the book, imagine if Santiago didn't continue to follow his personal legend. Imagine if he settled as a shepherd. What would be of his story then? The other thing around this lesson is the ideas around letting go. Letting go of things, letting go of attachments, as long as it gets you closer to your dreams and purpose. It might also be letting go of certain people around you to get closer to your dreams. Just like Santiago let go 1/10 of his sheep to the king of Salem in exchange for some advice. So it's like, if you want to get closer to your dreams and purpose in life, sometimes you have to think a little bit more critically about some of the things that are weighing you down and holding you back, and also be able to build that courage to be able to let go when required. So yeah guys, that's the book review done. That's the story of Santiago. That's The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And once again, if you've made it this far, I think you're amazing, so thank you. And make sure to share your thoughts down below in the comments, or you can just hit me up. If you have any suggestions, ideas, or books that you recommend, let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. See you later. Adios. Coelho. Paulo Coelho. Not bad, G.